What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Vets Talking with Knife Hands. Yes, it's our regular Thursday show where we're going to be heavy on the political conversations. Because I know there's a lot of people, especially in my the fandom from Tom McDonald, loves the input of the veteran perspective of all the weird, stupid crap going on in our country right now. So that's what we're going to reveal. Every single week, we're going to be here Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern and go over the dumbest stories possible of the week. But before we do that, Mr. Rastercaster is here. We're gonna keep the panel small on these Thursday shows. It's gonna be only veterans. So how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm Raster, Real Raster on the Twitters. Be starting a channel real new soon and everything, but happy to get into the discussion today.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we don't have to be happy. You know, we're definitely not gonna be doing the typical thing we do on Saturday and taking shots for super chats and all that. Although I do have an idea, and I was planning on doing it today. We do have a store here that I found that has ghost pepper chips, and my plan was that if we accumulate total amounts of up to $50 in super chats, then I'd go ahead and scarf down one of these bags of ghost pepper chips, one of the small bags. But it being Memorial Day weekend is officially starting for a lot of people, and the highway was completely backed up with people rolling in here to Lake of the Ozarks. So I said, nope, I'm not doing this. Turn around, went to a restaurant, got something to eat, turn around, went back home. So next week I'll go ahead and try that. And what's funny is, Rassi, you familiar with the one chip, the ghost pepper one chip challenge? Have you heard of that?
Yeah. I saw Alex Stein actually did it on Timcast one time, and it was pretty hilarious to watch.
So, well, here's the thing I found out. So the one chips was individually wrapped, one single chip. It's made by the same company that makes these ghost pepper chips that I have at the store here, but they're like, they're a little pouch bag. So it's like a snack thing, it's like, just like a little bag of Lay's you can get at the store. But so those are about like $5-6 that I was going to get at the Hy-Vee. I don't know how hot they are, but I'll eat the whole damn thing. I was going to get the one chip. Guess how much it costs for one single chip, Raster?
I want to take $15.
The cheapest one was $21. The more expensive one was $31. And I don't even know what the difference is. That's not including shipping because you can only get it online. Well, apparently it's supposed to be at this Hy-Vee here, but they don't have them here. Yeah, $21 to $31 for one single chip. So... Negative. We'll see how it goes. If you guys, if you guys enjoy getting me, killing my liver so much on the Saturday show, getting me drunk, then I'll be very curious to see how you do trying to burn my esophagus and my stomach lining with these chips. So we'll start off with those little bags of chips first. And if it does well, I will look into investing and get some of those single chips, which apparently will burn like a motherfucker. Let me say hi to a few people here. Tracy K was popping in here earlier. Thank you for being here, Tracy K. Tina Bojan popped in. Hello, Tina Bojan. And our new favorite friend, the Marine Corps veteran, green-haired, anti-liberal. Hey, y'all. Well, I can't type. I think green hair, I don't get on Instagram very often. I know I sent you a message to get you on, and I think you might have replied. I got to check it out. We'll see if you're down for it. Let's see if we can get you on Saturday. I'd love to have you on. Let's see. What is Adam? I'll hook you up this year. There were 9.00 here. Oh, $9? Really? So the one chip, the Pakwai or whatever, one chip challenge were only $9. Tracy, yeah. If you actually have that hookup, yeah, please let me know. I will buy those from you. I'll buy a few of those from you if we can ship it. Because for some damn reason, I couldn't find anywhere else that they were under $21. Amazon's $21, and like I said, for some reason the other one's $31. And across you can't even get it from their website. Like it only gives you a list of stores that you can get it from on the Pakwai website. So
you would think they would take advantage of that, to sell it online, to cut out the middleman.
I know, right? The logic behind it, I don't know, but I can say this much: is that the logic behind charging that much is because it became an internet phenomenon. People are wanting to make money off it, like I'm trying to. I'm trying to show for it too. So that's why they're able. It's got a demand for it, so they're able to charge 21, 31 bucks for one single fucking chip. I'm willing to do it. Yeah. I do want to give a shout out also to Rumble. I just saw someone just subscribed over there. Coke 7 Can. If you're watching, welcome, buddy. Welcome to Vets Talkin. I see we got a few people in there. I do have my setup here. I'm looking at the chat. So anybody wants to comment on the Rumble stream, go ahead and I'll give you a shout out. Also, we're not going to do like what other shows will do, like half here and half on Rumble, because there's just not that much conversation. We're gonna go through all the stories here on YouTube, and then I think we're just gonna pop over to Rumble for a little bit so we can have some of the uncensored conversation of what we already talked about. So be sure if you want to, whoever's on YouTube, if you want to switch over to Rumble, you can, but we will be on both, at least for all of the stories. But there are obviously, I mean, there's so much stuff that we can't say on YouTube that we're going to do over on Rumble, because Papa Susan will slap us in the pee-pee otherwise. And the Rumble link is in the channel description. I don't have it available right now. Let's go ahead and get into the first story that is on our I guess scroll back up here. That was on the headline on the thumbnail. Share screen. I should have had that ready. Hunter Biden investigation. Second IRS whistleblower claims retaliation. Now, I always say this. I listen to Dan Bongino a lot. He has been covering the shit out of this story. I never even really knew that much about the first whistleblower. Had you heard much about that, Raster?
No, a lot of this stuff that comes with this, I kind of tend to always kind of wait till the whole cat is out of the bag, because it seems like when the shoe's on the other foot, when it's coming for someone like Trump, it's like, if they hear a rumor, they're already impeaching his ass. But with Biden, it takes like literally like an apocalypse for them to even even look into this guy.
Yeah.
So,
well, this gets interesting with this one. I want to say real quick, hello, Twisted Pixie, welcome. All right, I'm gonna read a little bit of this, and I got a video we're gonna play too, but I'll go through this. The first whistleblower came out about a month ago, so the second one now, kind of confirming what's going on. A second IRS whistleblower has alleged retaliation for raising concerns with Justice Department leadership was, quote, acting inappropriately on the investigation into Hunter Biden, the Washington Examiner has learned. The allegations from an IRS agent come a month after an IRS supervisory special agent revealed to Congress politics had infected the case involving President Joe Biden's son. So that's a little bit of background. I'm going to play this because, no, not that one. I got a video here from, I think it was Maria Bartiromo. Yeah, here we go. Oh, I shouldn't have to. I wish they would set it up so I can have just keep on moving from one tab to another without having to do this. But first world problems.
IRS whistleblower looking into Hunter Biden's finances came forward after the team was dismissed after 5 years on the case, Byron. So, we see evidence where whistleblowers are getting attacked and, put the sidelines because they're speaking out against what they see.
Yeah, remember that the law protects whistleblowers from recriminations from higher ups. And remember also that not all that long ago, in the first Trump impeachment, Democrats were basically saying that whistleblowers are a sacred species, deserving of the greatest protections. Well, now you had this first whistleblower who was apparently a supervisor come out and say that the Justice Department was putting its thumbs on the scale in the Hunter Biden investigation. And now we have a second whistleblower who it appears who has more hands-on experience in the entire duration of the Hunter Biden investigation. These are both at the Internal Revenue Service, and we now know that the whole team was removed. The whole team working on the Hunter Biden case was removed. Some of them had worked more than 5 years on it. It seems clearly an act of recrimination that is forbidden in the law. And it also appears to be an act designed to either soften or deflect from whatever it is Hunter Biden did in the first place to be investigated.
I don't understand this. And then we see a poll earlier that half the country still doesn't understand what the Durham report was about, Byron. I mean, you know, the media is complicit here. You know that.
Yeah, we all already know that. So here's some of the breakdown of what Bongino's been talking about. He kind of been theorizing a few different things here. One thing that we know is that, again, we're on YouTube, so I have to be a little bit careful about what I can say. That there is the good possibility that there is a lot of dirt in there, that there has been money transferred to certain individuals in that family that has swayed influence and dictated policy. And now, so obviously the people who really want to cover this up is that family. The report that came out a month ago with the first whistleblower was exposed by CBS News. No bastion of right-wing conservatism there. Yeah. And so what Bongino's been theorizing is that the left is perfectly fine with this story coming out because they want Biden to go away. They don't want him to carry on. They know that he's a disaster, that nobody in this country wants him to be president. And they're perfectly willing to sabotage him with stories like this, even though the IRS and everyone's doing everything they can to cover it up now, obviously because they're all part of the administration, and probably a lot of them are being dictated by the same people who actually control our puppet in chief. Well, what do you think, having heard about this?
Well, I get where you're going with that. Part of me is wondering, like, is this one of them things where they're waiting for, like, okay, the thing going on right now, the whole DeSantis thing, you know, them basically falling flat last night, and with Trump's campaign, are they waiting for them to, like, you know, get their, wait for our side to basically just go beating ourselves up and then attacking one another and everything because we're going to have a hellacious primary, or are they waiting for that to happen and then have a late announcement for potential replacements for Biden? I could probably see that being plausible if what you're saying is going to happen. But the counter of that is that I kind of wonder if, and this is my black pill coming out here, is that nothing's really going to happen with Biden. I feel like that this is almost kind of like how Democrats were with Trump. Like, oh, this is going to be the one that takes them down. And it never happens. I mean, but the difference is that the establishment is protecting Biden, where the entire time with Trump, now they was doing everything they can and everything to get him hung up on something when he wasn't doing anything. But
well, and that's why they can. That's why the media, being the tool that they are and the weapon that they are, is very possibly, if Bongino's theory is correct, they're using the media now to sabotage him and get him out.
Right. I think
you're right. Nothing will happen to him legally and everything else. Nothing will happen to him, but they can kill his possibilities of being reelected.
We make jokes all day, about like what happened with the Trump town hall and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I seriously believe that all these media networks, every media outlet, from everything that's on TV to your New York Times, Washington Post, especially, I think Washington Post is actually, I think Amazon Bezos is actually trying to sell them off, but they want Trump back in. They want it because that was like their thing. If they're not hating on him, it's just like hate bait. I mean, they needed him to basically have stories, and I think that they are finding that Biden to be a dud, and they're finding themselves having to sit on stories in order to protect themselves. And that's the problem with them buying into a certain ideology. But going to what you're saying with, they're trying to sabotage Biden, I could probably see that. I could see that they're doing that and everything. Not so much so that they can, because at the end of the day, I do not believe that most of these news outlets and everything really care, about what they don't have any kind of belief. They have no integrity. So they're all talking about the almighty dollar. And the thing is that they feed and they get the revenue from people from people with TDS, and TDS is also very, very valuable. It's a moneymaker. So I can perfectly see that the media is, in a sense, actually helping Trump. They want Trump to win, but I don't think that this is necessarily. I know it's probably going off on the crazy conspiracy wagon here, but I don't believe that they're trying to pave a way for another Democratic candidate per se. You get what I mean? Because who are they going to offer up?
Okay, so if you want to go down to the crazy conspiracy rabbit hole, which I'm deep into, I'm in the camp of thinking that there is an ultimate plan, that they are really trying to work towards making this into a full dictatorship nation. They want to destroy our Constitution. They want to take down all of the we the people aspects, that the people run this government. They want the government to run the people is what they're trying to do. And Trump was the person standing in the way. He says all the time is that they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just standing in the way. That's exactly the case. That's why they had to take him down. And that's why they need to continue to have a puppet in place, not a real candidate at all. It could be a Republican puppet, which I believe that George W. Bush was. That's why he cozied up to the Obamas and everyone else, and Hillary Clinton when Trump was running. That's exactly why, because he was a puppet too. It's a Democrat and a Republican is one puppet just running both at the same time, or one puppet master running two puppets. So I think that Trump is their biggest fear of all. I think that DeSantis is too. I trust that people are calling DeSantis more of a rhino. Sure, he's not the best conservative out there, but he would. I'd still be happy with either him or Trump. I want Trump, but no, I think that they want a puppet in place to push their further moves to run us further into a fascist dictatorship, and you can't have that with somebody who's not being controlled like Trump.
Yeah, I think it's kind of unusual and everything about this is a very unusual period. I think this is totally strange. I'm really actually surprised that DeSantis. I know everybody was like, no, I'm not really surprised. I'm actually surprised that he followed through. He had a law changed so that he could run, so you didn't have to resign from office, which I do not agree with. I'm a firm believer that half of the problems that could probably be fixed with our corruption and our politics, it could be term limits for a lot of these people now, especially people in Congress. That's where I'm more or less directing that at. But at the same time, also is that I want a put up or shut up law, meaning that you have to resign from your office as soon as you are formally running or getting campaign money for you to run for another office while you are supposed to be working in the current office that you were elected in. And I don't even want to see the first gubernatorial debate. I do not want to see it, because it's going to look like it's going to be like what 12 some people up there and everything, like Tim Scott and Kristi Noem, and all these people don't have a hairball chance in hell and everything, even getting the nomination. They at best they might get Secretary of Housing or some shit and everything. It's totally retarded. And I've always said for the longest time, my biggest crazy idea was that I think some of these fuckers actually get paid. They make money that goes in their pockets and everything when they fundraise for these campaigns, because no one in their right mind knows that they have a chance. Now, DeSantis, on the other hand, if I recall earlier, He made, I think he's went down the last bit. I think down 10 points. Trump has went. Well, let me correct myself. DeSantis has went down 10 points. Trump has gained 13. That's massive. And he's like, and the funny thing is that each time they charge him with something, or they take him to court, or try to make some kind of accusation, this guy just gets more traction. And that's the dumbest thing. I was like, I bet the Democrats are hating Alvin Bragg. I bet he's like their retarded cousin that just shut up, because anybody that the most strategic Democrat out there, probably if they really going to be honest or whatever, going to sit there and say that was a dumb thing to do. And
it's the same thing like when the Republicans tried to or did they impeach Clinton. All it did was give him a landslide win in the next election. Once you start trying to attack these guys, same thing like Trump, the multiple impeachments on Trump never hurt him. And if they try it again, the more they keep trying this shit, the more people just keep on rolling their eyes and say, really, you're fucking doing this again?
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is that it's stuff that, with the whole thing with Alvin Bragg in New York, that right there was something that was already basically found that there was nothing criminal done. And that was done early on in the 2017, they completed the investigation and found nothing on it. So, and that was a federal offense. And they're really like twisting the law and everything to make it into a felony charge on top of that. And then you got this other woman that's going up on, like, people pulling up her tweets, her stuff that she says on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. She has a cat named Vagina, all that running joke or whatever.
Yeah.
And
that's a psychopath who said that rape is sexy, right?
Yeah. And basically says, okay, so they have this like fancy clothing store, and she doesn't even know the layout of the store. It doesn't know exactly when it happened and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, it's basically like Brett Kavanaugh, 2.0. And this is so late. I was like, so you mean to tell me after all these years of all this Trump hating and everything, you're now going to come out and say this or whatever? It seems like y'all just really grasping at straws now, and this stuff is not landing. But I think the thing is here that I'm finding out, going back to the GOP side, my take on DeSantis right now is that this is not his time. And I don't say that because I want Trump. Like me personally, I want Trump. I'm saying this because I would like for him to not be drugged through the dirt so he can live the fight another day. And I'm afraid that he kind of really bit the hand that fed, being that he was endorsed and ran his campaign being the MAGA candidate in Florida. I mean, he got there beating a crackhead by a narrow margin. And I mean, he's a good governor, but the problem is that he could be a good governor for a few years more and really come back in 2028 and bring us another win for 4 more years.
It was the dumbest move ever. Real quick, bring Shell back in. Hey, buddy.
Did somebody say something about a retarded cousin? Hello.
You're welcome the retarded cousin. Again, I think it might have been Bongino I was listening to. They just, gave the best explanation possible on how it was the dumbest move. He would have had a guaranteed landslide win. If DeSantis would have just waited, keep working on Florida like we all want him to, support Trump through his presidency, maybe even run as a running mate. But nonetheless, he would just stayed in, support Trump, go MAGA. He would have been a landslide fucking win in 2028.
He's definitely, but see now he's endangering himself in 2028. See, he's not going to win. He's not going to win this nomination. He might be number 2, but he's a far number 2. And I mean, he's going to have to gain up a lot in polls or whatever to be able to make and change up the margin. Now, on the flip side, in 2016, if we remember about around this time of the campaign, Trump wasn't polling very well. But the difference was nobody was going into this and everything with a track record. People know what they get with Trump. They already had him as president, and you already have a very tight following, like a cult-like following, unfortunately, for a lot of these people, whatever. But none to say it, because I'm not going to sit there and be your call me a MAGA guy. It ain't gonna be like that. He's gonna. I look at all politicians the same. You're useful until you're not, and you're disposable. So
yeah.
And that might be sound a little cold-hearted, but guess what? And everything, the public servants are not supposed to be deities. But the thing with DeSantis is that DeSantis, like you said, and what Tracy was just saying there, is that he needs to lay low or whatever and do a good job as a governor and everything, build up that reputation, support Trump or whoever the GOP nominee is. And so he can have that endorsement when he runs in 2028 and 28. The problem now is that the way that Trump fights. Now, if you remember back in 2016, is that Cruz was in the lead in the very beginning. He was the front runner before Trump, outpaced him. And then you remember the comment, you got Lion Ted, and then you got
Lion Ted.
Yeah, and then you got little Marco, Marco Rubio.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he's dirty. Hey, he plays dirty.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Good on him. I mean, that's the way it should be. But we're having this. But the thing is that this can't work the way it works with the Democrats, because it never does. Kamala Harris and then straight out called Biden a racist or whatever, and then she got called out on it later on. Says, "Ha, we were in a debate," and everybody just took it and everything like that. It wouldn't work that way on the Democrats. We don't think like that. We're not stupid, unfortunately. Unfortunately, but the thing is though is that it wasn't as heated or whatever, and the thing is no one had any loyalty to Trump then. Trump was just a new guy coming in that was doing this. But the thing is that the thing about DeSantis is DeSantis has bitten the hand that fed. He does owe Trump something. And he basically, Trump even ran a campaign ad or whatever recently where it showed him where he was reading like "Make America Great Again" and all that kind of stuff and everything, and said "Build the Wall" and all that kind of crap. He dropped all that. He dropped all that while DeSantis was doing his debacle of a Twitter announcement. Yeah. And it's just crazy that you're going to sit there and do that and just basically, so that tells me, it says, okay, if you're going to shit on him, who else are you going to shit on? And now people are pulling his Congress record. So it's not looking good for him. And the thing is that this could have been, he could have been given a wave on through in 2028. But now he's just going to be dirtied up, and the best thing he's going to be a lame duck governor, and the best he can hope for now is an early retirement, because I do not think that he's going to be leaving unscathed for 28.
Yeah. This is a perfect time to play this since we're talking about it. I'm going to play, unfortunately, this does come from Washington Post. This is supposed to be a knock on him. But this does have a little 60 seconds of how fucked up that Twitter thing was. And to be clear, in case there's any big DeSantis fans out there, I don't have a problem with DeSantis. And I'm not playing this because I'm trying to hurt him. Like I already said, I'll say it again. I will be happy with either DeSantis or Trump as president. But I think this is funny. I think it is... Well, I'll talk about it afterwards, because I have a few thoughts on this. But for those of you who didn't hear, this was played yesterday. This is DeSantis's announcement on Elon Musk's Twitter Spaces.
All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers.
So if we just keep crashing, huh? So I think we're back online here. Great. All right. Well, it's certainly an incredible honor to have Governor DeSantis make this stark announcement.
Are you there? Can you hear us? I think you broke.
I'm here.
Excellent. I know. I think you broke the internet there. We had over 500,000 people in one Twitter space, and it was growing by like 50,000 a minute. So, congrats on breaking the internet there.
I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American comeback.
All right. So, couple of things. That's not the biggest Twitter space that's ever happened. I was listening to somebody earlier who was saying that Elon did one where there was like 3 million people in the Twitter space. I can't confirm that. Somebody let me know if that's true or not. I'll get that secondhand info from someone else. So it doesn't sound like it makes a whole lot of sense that Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, isn't aware that his Twitter space can't handle 500,000 people, when apparently they did one with like 3 million before. So I think there's a possibility that maybe they set it up. They did that intentionally to make it have that story that, ooh, look at this, Ron DeSantis broke the internet. It was so popular. Or is another possibility that that I think someone was saying that they think that there are still people at Twitter that's trying to intentionally sabotage Elon Musk and Twitter. Kizzy says Red Bull was at least 4 million. Thank you. Yeah. There's been millions of people on Twitter space before, so it doesn't make any fucking sense that 500,000 would all of a sudden break the server.
No, that was Sachs that said that, right? I'm not sure if it was Elon that said it, right?
I don't know. Oh yeah, no, yeah, that was Sachs. Yeah, that was you're right.
And it really fell flat. I think the biggest thing is that my takeaway, looking at the substance of it, Twitter is going to Twitter. And you're right. It ain't no way that they're in San Francisco and they cleaned house. It ain't no way. But as for the content, or what you just heard there, the beginning of it is, let me frame it like this. We all know why he was on Twitter space. No, we didn't need to be told that, I'm running for president. We all know why you're going to be on there. And let's go back to 2008. 2008 Obama. All right. As much as that guy wrecked America, I mean, it was a total mess or whatever, bombing kids, that's what he loves to do. But I mean, the guy had charisma. And what I mean by that is that he gave a speech. He went into it, He had his hype boys before that. You get it up going or whatever. You do what you do. And then he says, I'm running for president. Trump, this guy, that he's running for president. Every Trump rally, this guy will do low flyovers with Trump Force One. The red carpet comes out. He shakes hands at the barricades, and then says, I'm here. I mean, the guy's a showman. DeSantis sounds like freaking Microsoft Sam. Dr. Stephen Hawkins getting on there with his boomer mic. Sound like he's talking. Yeah, like he's asking for my Burger King order at the drive-through window. Like I'm running for president. Well, no shit. And then, so I mean, he could be selling could be selling a good package here with awesome policy, whatnot. He might even have a policy that might be better than Trump's. Who knows? But at the end of the day, you got to sell it, and you got to have that oomph, that feeling or whatever, because that is leadership. It might look a little tacky, but guess what? That's good old American leadership, and that by being in leadership is that you have to be able to not only have a good game plan, you got to be able to execute it. And that means to execute it means you got to have loyal followers.
Yeah, you got to. we had, so my first experience when I was in the Army, when I was a cherry private, we had Colonel Yarbrough. Colonel Yarbrough was our brigade commander of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. The guy was like a legend. Like he seemed like someone who came out of, like he was a fucking child of General Patton. The guy could motivate you to run 1,000 fucking miles and charge up any fucking hill. And then right before we went to Iraq in 2003, Colonel Mayville took over. And nothing against his leadership. I know the guy was, really fucking smart, but he gave us a motivation speech. Like I remember his change of command ceremony. I was standing there, prayed rest. I thought I was going to pass out. I was so fucking bored. I'm pretty sure he was even reading off of notes. Like it was fucking terrible. So I mean, to even think back, it just seems very similar to the same thing. Like, DeSantis here in his fucking announcements, the same thing when Colonel Mayville took over for the fucking brigade. And again, nothing against him. I know when we went to Iraq, things were great, but at the same time, we're like, I want Colonel Yarbrough back. That guy was the shit. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Up on a grenade for that guy any fucking day.
And that's exactly that last part you said. You have to make your people, and then feel like they're jumping on a grenade for you. And I mean, as much as I find it kind of a little bit cringy when I start seeing everybody, being, MAGA mom and all that kind of stuff now in their Twitter bio, and I'm like, you can lay off his knob a little bit, but guess what? He's got people on his knob, and he didn't get it there now by being Microsoft Sam on Twitter Spaces. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Trace K. Yeah, Obama sweet talked everyone. That's why so many believe him. Yeah, I mean, all he had to say was change. What was his motto? Change. Hope, and change.
Yeah,
but
change.
But there's no substance to it. There's no what change? What hope are you fucking talking about? It didn't matter because he was saying it so charismatically.
If he was a white dude, he wouldn't got elected. I'll just come out and say it. That might sound racist and everything, but it's the truth or whatever. Because I've actually, here's the thing though, and people will be like, "Oh God, Raster's racist," and I'm like, okay, well, everybody's racist these days anyway because of the way they label everything. But look, I worked with coworkers who legit told me to my face, "I'm voting for the black dude because I'm going to vote for a brother," and I'm like, "But you're a diehard Christian," and he's pro-abortion and all that stuff and everything. And I'm like, well, you look at it like this now, and you can have in the deep South and everything, you can have like your strong, black Baptists or whatever, but they're still going to vote Democrat and everything. And that's because the majority of the, your Democrat candidates are black. And I mean, that's just the case or whatever with Obama. But Obama and everything just came, they said that he got there by his own merit. And I was like, the guy was a community organizer before this, and he's a junior senator. He hasn't even been there for I think it was his first term still.
Never held any leadership positions or anything. Yeah.
No. And another thing that it irritates me to the nth degree, and it comes out especially during election year, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier and everything, where I wish it should be put up a shut up law where you should have to resign from your office if you plan on fundraising or officially running for an office, because that means you can't possibly give your attention where it needs to be, which is what the people elected for you to do. So I don't care what anybody says. I do not have the confidence that you're going to be able to have your focus on what you're supposed to be doing, which is what you were initially elected for. Right now, I'm pretty sure Florida right now and everything isn't getting Ron DeSantis full of attention. I mean, the thing is, and everybody's like, well, he passed a bill. So no, he has something that Trump did not have. Trump had everybody gunning against him. He didn't have both the houses, never had it. And now but you have DeSantis, that his state legislature is all Republican. It's majority Republican. So they give him the bill. All he has to do is sign it. Mm-hmm. So in this, everything says DeSantis did this, DeSantis did that. I was like, no, he has the Florida legislature that's like propping him up. And I was like, Trump never had that. So
No, he only had everybody fighting against him, but he still got amazing shit done.
Yeah, so all he has to do is, come in at the crack of noon or whatever and says, "You got anything for me, Susan?" or whatever. Yeah, slide this paper in front of me. I'll sign that bitch. And then so he just signs it and everything. Next thing you know, he has a headline says, a DeSantis did this, DeSantis did that. And I'm like, no, he didn't. And and the thing is with all of this is that at the end of the day, we're going to have a stage full of, and I notice this is more so on the Democrat side, you're going to have a stage full of senators and representatives. And I think, and I want people to remember this, is that that is the legislative branch, not the executive branch. What I want to see is I want to see more governors, former governors run, because they have governing experience, which is the executive branch of a state. It's a natural progression for them to go. It's kind of like, imagine like in the military or whatever, where you had some guy, I think is a thing that I think this is where it all went to shit, is that our senior NCOs could be transferred from a different MOS to a different field. For example, our senior master sergeant was a nurse, and he had he should not even be. I don't even know if he probably did at the time. Then probably had clearance to be out there, but around the F-16s that I worked on, he should not even been nowhere near them or talking to any one of us because he didn't know shit about it. And that's kind of like this way it kind of goes back with this or whatever. You mean to tell me that a junior senator from Illinois is somehow qualified to be the president of the United States? No, I'm not buying it. Yeah. So, and that goes for the Republican side too. Ted Cruz doesn't need to be running. You need to be doing your job. That's what you need to be doing. And I mean, at
the very least, in Congress, there are individuals who have leadership positions in Congress. I mean, yeah, they're by no stretch of the imagination close to a governing type of leadership role,
right?
But there are, there's the guys who are in charge of the different houses.
And here's something funny. If I recall correctly, and if I recall completely correctly, is that after JFK, we didn't have anybody from Congress actually win presidency or whatever up until Obama. Think about that.
Wait, say it again.
If I'm not mistaken, is that from JFK was the last senator to actually hold the office of president until Obama. Every president before that was a governor or a vice president.
What was George W.H. George Sr.?
He was the vice president under Reagan, under his second term.
And before that,
he was the CIA.
Okay, so he never held a governing role, but he
was vice president. Now, before that, everybody else was a governor.
Yeah, Junior was governor, and Clinton was governor. Interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and you didn't see a stage full of people.
You're not wrong. Yeah, yes, very accurate, because he was a crook too.
Yeah. The funny thing is that we didn't see until after Obama. Every time there's a primary on either side, Republican or Democrat, it is nothing but a flooded stage of senators, and you now see on they used to be reserved to more like C-SPAN where nobody watched the shit or whatever, but now you got people like Cory Booker and anybody like that. They're just pining for a position, a time to sit there and grandstand during a hearing. And they'll keep on doing these hearings left and right, and nothing ever happens. And as Republicans do it all the daggum time. How many times are they going to bring, Mark Zuckerberg in front of them or whatever to explain something to a bunch of boomer dudes, and nothing fucking happens? I was like, every time that you hear Ted Cruz get up there and talk about something, I was like, That's cool, bro. You make good tweets. Do some shit about it. He doesn't do anything. He goes down there to the border and, stands in front of the cameras or whatever saying, this is outrageous, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you no different than AOC from as far as I'm concerned and everything, because you need to be up in Washington doing your goddamn job, but you're not doing it, are you? You're just sitting here just pumping up your contingency. I mean, your constituents or whatever. And you're not fooling me.
I feel like you. I mean, I never even thought about that very much. I feel like Congress grilling Zuckerberg over Facebook feels like it'd be the same way when I'm trying to explain my YouTube career to these old retired dudes at the bar. I don't know how
Tracy,
where does the money come from?
Tracy, I want to say Ford was the VP that he was. The reason why I said what I said is that he was the VP, and actually Nixon, when he resigned, that he and Gerald Ford actually became president because of that. But as for Nixon, I want to say Nixon was a governor. You got me now.
I have no idea what he was before that. I've never even thought about that.
Let me see.
Oh, listening to Crowder today, by the way, very interesting came up about him. I didn't know about. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to eat my words. Thanks, Tracy. I will call myself wrong in a heartbeat and fact check myself. Nixon was elected the 37th president of the United States after previously serving as a U.S. representative and U.S. senator from California.
Admonish. We need to
admonish. Yeah. So, but I mean, like I said and everything, guess what? The first man and everything to to basically, disgrace his office or whatever publicly or whatever to the point and everything where they was going to impeach him and he ended up resigning or whatever, was a U.S. representative and then a U.S. senator. Okay. So a career politician.
Going back to what you deserve to be admonished for,
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Obviously, it's not that bad, but I don't have anything lesser than that. But it's very interesting. Listening to Crowder today, I know there's people out there don't like Crowder anymore, but I still like Crowder. I was listening to him today, and he explained, I never knew this either. He uses this as an example of the way that people are changing history, especially the left, because everyone props up JFK as being this amazing, president, when really he wasn't that great. He didn't do that much great shit. And that Nixon, everyone believes Nixon was some terrible fucking president, and he committed this terrible crime. One, Nixon was a really fucking great president. He did a lot of amazing shit. Was he perfect? No, of course not. Was he the best president? No, he wasn't. But he did a lot of great shit. But what was more interesting is he asked everybody, hey, what was it that he got impeached over? And I think Brian Callen, who was there, did actually know the right answer, but he didn't explain it properly. That Nixon did not give the order to have the Watergate get bugged, to commit that crime. That what he got impeached for was that he learned about it after the fact, but didn't say anything because he was working too hard behind the scenes trying to distance himself from the people who did that without his authorization. That's what he got impeached over, was knowing that the crime was committed and not saying anything. He did not, in fact, commit the crime, though. And I never knew that.
Yeah.
Hence the I'm not a crook.
Yeah. Well, we know that he tried to argue it, but still though the crime that was committed was not that. Anyways, the point is that history has been changed, even for people like me who, I'm not a history nut, but I like to stay properly informed. But even I got, believed the lie that he did tell somebody to do that it was a part of this, conspiracy to commit this crime when he knew nothing about it.
Well, here's
go ahead, Showback. You haven't said anything.
Well, you talk about JFK, right? About how he didn't really do a whole lot. I mean, he didn't really have time. He got taken out before he could really get into it.
But the point is that he still gets propped up as being a great president. When he got killed early on, but he still didn't do anything in time he was in.
let me just say that JFK was against going to Vietnam, because we went to Vietnam in '65, right? So there was talking about Vietnam before 1965, and JFK wasn't really feeling it, and so I'm of the crowd, that that's why he got taken out, is because there were other people who did want to go to Vietnam, and so JFK got assassinated, and we went to Vietnam. There you go.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I mean, when it comes to you're saying about like Nixon not knowing and stuff like that, and I was like, it's put it like this: is that do I believe that Trump Towers was spied on under the order of Obama? I don't, but I'm pretty sure that he knew about it later.
The Durham report did reveal he did know.
He did know, but Nixon eventually knew too. Yeah, Nixon eventually knew too.
No. I'm saying, okay, let me picture this in my timeline here. The thing is that the investigation went forward. The entire investigation into Trump with the FBI and the CIA, all of that took place. They got briefed. Obama, Biden, all of them got briefed on the fact that this is happening, and they were warned that this looks like a political move rather than actually being a legitimate case, a criminal case. They knew about it and did it anyways. They still committed the crime of pushing the investigation forward. So it's not like they knew about it and then tried to back away and separate. No, they backed it up and let it.
Oh, I know. I get what you're saying, but the start of it all, yeah, true. But the start of it all comes to and everything that it didn't start as the brainchild of the president.
True. It initiated from the Clinton campaign. That's where it initiated.
Right.
But Biden and Obama helped it forward by pushing with the FBI.
Right. That I think that has to do with more I will say it right now. I think that has to be more of our political climate that we're in now, is that we are definitely and everything into some, I will sit there and say it, and then there's some Civil War type of thinking or whatever mindset with them,
which we're not advocating.
We're not advocating. We're not advocating in no shape or way form.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that ironically either. I am not advocating fucking war. I do not want to get there. But we've said it before. I said apparently it was a really highlighted part of one of my reviews with Tom McDonald Americas. We're not looking for a fight, but just like on the Gadsden flag, you step on our fucking neck and we're going to bite you like that snake.
Yeah. I just wish people got as upset as they used to over a 5% tax hike like they did with the Boston Tea Party.
Right? Oh shit. Tracy K says, did y'all know Nixon got rid of the gold standard? Yeah. And 6 months later, Klaus appeared with the WEF. Oh, I didn't know that. So all this mess going on with that right now started back then. So I knew
Nixon
about
went to China.
The gold standard. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Nixon. That was one of the things I was trying to think of, is that Nixon is the one who opened up trade agreements with China.
Yeah, thanks, Nixon.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. You still holding high Crowder's belief on that now? look, here's the thing, is that none of these people are saints, and the thing is that this is why I sit there and say that I cringe when I sit there and see somebody now they put in a trail by says MAGA mom patriot, 2A forever and everything. I love Trump, Trump 2024 in their bio, like that's their identity. And I'm like, here's the thing: at no point in time is anybody going to be like, I'm going to be like the billboard for any candidate, because here's the thing: is that those candidates don't know me. They're not going to agree with me 100%. The only purpose they serve is to serve my will. And if they can get at least 95% of my will in, they get my vote. the time that they sit there and don't do that and everything, fuck them. And and to be quite honest or whatever, I was like, right now, the only reason why Trump has my vote in my hand, sitting here waiting for it to be, symbolically put in or whatever, when the time, I'm pretending I'm sitting here waving my hand for some odd reason. No one can see my fucking hand, and I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, and so this ballot that I have in my,
you went full retard, man.
I have this mysterious ballot that no one in this audience can sit there and see, is waiting for Trump. And it's waiting for Trump because of the fact of one thing. I'm hoping that he's a bull in a china shop. And that's the only reason I want. It's a powder. Right now, our government is a powder keg. And I just want Trump to be the match to be tossed in. And that's the only reason I want. And if he doesn't do the things I want him to do, then fuck him. I'll sit there, and I know there's probably people watching, probably like, "Oh no, he just like Trump, blah blah, did this, did that." And I was like, he got Bolton in, for God's sakes, and everything. He surrounded himself with a bunch of idiots, and he basically took a ride for 2 years and everything, but surrounded by treasonous assholes. And you can't overlook that.
Welcome to our Canadian brethren from the up north, cross the Clinton, end up in a body bag. HOG, fam, Canada. Welcome from the Hangover gang. Welcome, buddy.
Well,
yeah. Let's see. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, when you go in, to quote unquote drain the swamp, work against the establishment, freaking Trump was swimming upstream the whole fucking time, it's,
yep.
And it's not really any wonder that he got the people that he got, because he's an outsider.
He put Ray in,
and he was, is like, oh well, so and so might be good, and he's like, okay, we'll try him out, and ended up not being the case, and it's just the way it was, which I don't know, maybe just maybe that might have been part of the plan. I don't know, for him to surround himself with people that ended up stabbing him in the back or whatever, just to freaking shine a light on him. I don't know, but
I think the thing is that it's just, you shine the light on them all you want to and everything, but you got to do something when you catch it. I mean, it's kind of like spotlighting a deer. It doesn't make a damn difference now unless you shoot the bastard. The thing is that he spent his time, whatever, putting the people in or whatever. Okay, I think it was Governor Christie or whatever, like that fat fuck or whatever. He took his recommendation for Ray. And that's the reason why Ray's coming out. And you saw how much he basically backstabbed him. I think the biggest problem that I will give like a little bit of leniency to on Trump about putting bad people and bad people or surrounding himself with bad people is that, yes, I think he probably is a very good businessman. Obviously, he's gotten pretty far in life or whatever by building an empire for himself. But people can sit there and shit on his empire or whatever you want to. Now, but guess what? He has billions of dollars now, and you don't. Well, the thing is that he made that money and then not on the back of being a politician or anything like that, like Pelosi or anybody. But with that being said, is that type of work environment, I can't speak to the accuracy of, but I can sit there and say now he's probably not used to that type of work environment, of having that type of, sinister backstabbers around him. And then when he gets in Washington, he's like surrounded to a whole different world. He's used to like corporate executive, responsibilities. Now he's in more of a governance. And so when he's put into the atmosphere now, I'll give him an out and say that you made some mistakes. However,
sorry, go ahead, make your point.
So my thing is that this second chance is going to be his last chance, no matter what and everything, because you can't run again. But the thing is that my biggest thing, my only motivation for him is that he has been picked on so much by the exact people I have a beef with, that I'm hoping that he does something about it, not from like a governance standpoint, but just a personal vendetta. I want to see a story end. I want him to. I want him to dismantle the FBI. And I say that coming from a law enforcement background, because they're nothing but, they can't investigate them ways out of a paper bag. They require local law enforcement then to build up 95% of the case, and then they spend the other 5% and everything talking to their the district attorneys or whatever to be able to pull together what they need to make it to a federal case. They're not investigators. They do not come from law enforcement backgrounds. They come from straight out of college with a specialty. They'll have a degree in underwater basket weaving in case they have a case about underwater basket weaving. That's what the FBI hires people. They do not hire law enforcement or real investigators. They train them to be investigators eventually.
Remember, if you're an underwater basket weaver, never talk to the FBI.
Exactly. And CIA, for that right there and everything, I honestly, and everything, I think they have Nuremberg trials for them fuckers. And so if you're watching the stream right now.
But also to clarify, the boots on the ground guys, they're not at fault. It's the leadership. The leadership needs to be torn from the top down. The boots on the guy's ground, obviously you need individual investigations, see if any of them have been dressing up and working in the fucking Patriot Front. But other than that, the entire leadership of all these organizations need to be completely dismantled. I agree with Dan Bongino, who says that the only people he wants to see, that he wants to vote for, is somebody who will make that pledge that the entire organizations tear the leadership down, top to bottom, and rebuild it. And it'll be a shit time period. It'll be a fucked up, painful time period, but it'll be just like going through boot camp.
No, it'll be a wonderful time period.
You can get built back up. Well, I mean, as far as it goes, I can guarantee there will be people who will take advantage, because you think about like our federal law enforcement is now non-existent. There are going to be people who are going to take advantage of that, and it's going to be hard to keep the law enforcement in place. But I know where you're going, Rasser, is that at least the bad law enforcement will be gone. The bad investigations and people getting convicted, people like who are in January 6th and getting thrown in jail for 4 years because he put his fucking boots up on Pelosi's fucking desk.
Over 4 years.
But here's the thing is that yes, 4.5. Yeah, the thing is that I really honestly believe, and it wasn't until like the Prohibition period and everything that they really needed, or they said they needed, or whatever. See, the thing is, you ever notice that it's always something that they have a boogeyman. Now it's white supremacy before, and then when the 9/11 happened, it was all terrorist or whatever, and they really didn't catch much, did they? A lot of their stuff now, like the Whitmer case or whatever, they'll sit there and say, well, over half of them were FBI agents, and they congratulations, you amped up a bunch of dumb rednecks or whatever to want. They all say, so somebody should do something about her, and then they come up with the idea. So this is what you can do about her, and then they basically entrap them into doing something stupid or whatever, but anyway, the thing is that they make a lot of self-created problems, and any problem that can be made into a federal case, and is 95% of the investigation is done at the ground level by local law enforcement or state officials, and anything else now can be supplemented through more training through federal funds to local law enforcement. Same thing with Border Patrol. You mean to tell me and everything that you can't give, it would not be better money spent to give money to boots on the ground local law enforcement for the counties that where the border is at, and say, hey, this is going to be your border enforcement division. This is the part you guard this part of the wall that we want to build. So, and I guarantee you those guys are going to be more invested into those communities because that's where they come from. Not some federal law enforcement. They got some rules from Washington, D.C. or whatever. Like now and everything. Oh my God! Tell me why in the world and everything that you would want anybody? Border Patrol is not doing anything. They're not doing anything. Abbott, that little wheelchair bound fuck or whatever. Actually has done some more than the actual Border Patrol has.
The Border Patrol can't really do shit.
But that's what I'm saying. What's the point of having them?
Their hands are tied. Well, here's what's fucked up though too is I think I saw this. I don't watch InfoWars very much at all, but I think I did see this clip where one of the InfoWars guys went down. He was a veteran himself, and he was talking to the Texas National Guard I think this one dude he was talking to is either E6 or an E7. And the guardsman was just being a total fucking dismissive ass to him. Because apparently what was happening is that Abbott sent the guard down to assist in arrests, to assist in this, but they weren't doing it. Oh God! Now I can't remember what the full argument was, but apparently the guard was not doing what they were supposed to be doing. Instead, like I think they were helping with the logistics of moving the immigrants, the illegal aliens, out of there so they can go into processing and get released elsewhere in the fucking country, as opposed to just keeping them from coming into the fucking country. And this guy was just railing on them, like, look, Abbott signed the order. This is what you guys are supposed to be doing here. Why don't you do it? And this guy, this smart ass fucking NCO, said something like, why don't you put on your uniform and do it? He goes, I served my time. Now it's your turn to serve time and follow orders. The dude is fucking on it, man. He fucking excellent fucking point. But yes, I mean, I don't know what the whole deal is with that, but I mean, you know, Abbott is at least looking like he's doing something, but it sounds like apparently the guard and people down there, they're not guarding the border. All they're doing is just helping the fucking illegal aliens just get further into the country. Real quick, before we get into that whole discussion, I do want Kizzy says, my husband is a boat captain on the river. Any idea why the ammonia barges are having to hang around with full loads because product isn't moving? Y'all see anything about farmers and fertilizer, etc.?
They gotta have something happen in Ohio.
Kizzy, Tracy K says, Kizzy, they're looking for 60 tons of missing chemicals. I know nothing about this. What, Raster, what do you know about it?
It sounds like they just want another Ohio again. You have to. Look. You have to. They have to get up enough of the supplies to happen before they set fire to it. Before like this whole whistleblower thing happens with Biden and all that kind of stuff, they have to wait for that to get to a peak for them to do that. I'm a conspiracy theorist on that regard. Yeah, sure. I mean,
false flags.
But I'm honestly right now, I don't put it past our government to do that kind of stuff on a daily basis now.
Yeah, anhydrous ammonia. I mean, coming from being born and raised, with a freaking field, out back of my house and stuff, from farm country. Yeah, anhydrous ammonia makes for a pretty good boom. So
yeah, that's Raster, like you said, and Shellback, you're kind of saying the same thing. Is that I have had absolute expectation that they're going to try to pull some sort of a false flag. I don't know to what extent, what exactly it'll be, but something is going to happen between now and election day. So that I can't say it. We'll wait until we get onto. You got to be careful with your words, so don't anybody say any bad words that has to do with the elections. But we'll talk about it on Rumble, which I'll drop a link here again. This is the Rumble link that I just posted. For those of you who aren't on there, if you want to hear the uncensored conversation we're going to have after we end here on YouTube, then head on over to our Rumble page, Vets Talkin, drop the G and you'll find me, or just go ahead and click the link in the chat right there.
I swear that was one of the best Freudian slips ever, is when old boy was having his speech there, on the erection.
Well, a lot of people on YouTube have been saying erection, because if you say the other word along with certain other words, then you get slammed for misinformation and you can get your channel taken down. So you gotta be very, very, very careful about that. Kizzy says, thanks for the optimism, Shellback. What about the 8+ barges full? I think you said something about, here's her other comment. She said, there's about 8 loaded down barges that came through the mouth of the Mississippi that's been hanging around for a week now. More is coming. They're going to jam up. Well, shit. What do you guys think about that?
Let it happen. Fuck it. I mean, here's the thing is that
Mr. Black-pilled everybody.
I mean, the thing is kind of like yeah, I got to be careful when I say this and everything out of respect for your channel, but it's kind of like a thing where going back to the Boston Tea Party thing, it's kind of like everybody gets an uproar and then they have the memory of a goldfish. And I'm kind of like, if not when, what does it take for everybody to just get, no, fuck this government? I mean, seriously, I mean, we have stuff that's declassified now to know that they, and people blow it off all like, oh no, this you bring it, you say, if you say CIA in anything, there's like, oh, you can sit there and say the CIA exists, even though they got a place called in Langley. And if you say anything with CIA in it, they say, oh, conspiracy theorists. And I'm like, it's that connotation has already been properly put into American culture. And I'm like, they do exist and they do things against us.
I had a woman. I was at a store and this cashier said something about she thought that her fellow, like her people that she worked with there was trying to mess with her in some way, having to do with me. Like she recognized me or something. She thought that somebody was playing a prank on her. My response was something to the extent of, I can assure you I'm not a part of any conspiracy to play a prank on you. And her response was so stupid. Oh, I don't believe in conspiracy theories anyway. Do you understand that conspiracy is not the same as conspiracy theory? That conspiracy is an actual thing, just involving two or more parties working together without the knowledge of a third party against that person. That's not a great definition, but the word conspiracy does not mean conspiracy theory, and it's not just something that's crazy. Like we have actual crimes on the book that you can get thrown in jail for criminal conspiracy. But the point is that is just how ignorant people are and how implanted this idea of conspiracy theories are into them, that they're so fucking ignorant that even the word conspiracy sounds crazy.
But the thing is these
ahead,
days the conspiracy theorists are like 42-0.
Yeah, I mean it's very true. It's just the thing now. It's like we have stuff has been declassified now where they were actually involved in the assassination plot against JFK. You had MK Ultra. You had all these other things, and then the CIA. I mean, they're responsible for coke in L.A. Well, crack in L.A. and that was targeted against the black community. And I'm like, if anything and everything, everybody should be in uproar saying, if y'all want to see some real racists and everything, take down the CIA. I was like, I mean, for God's sakes and everything, they should not exist. I was like, it's one thing to have intelligence agencies that are worked up and everything to make sure for Homeland Defense or whatever. But you got Snowden or whatever who worked for the NSA and realized that the NSA and everything is spying on us and all that kind of stuff. CIA has been doing ops against us. And I was like, this stuff right here and everything, and no one ever bats an eye. And I was like, we get taxed more each year, and more stuff comes out and everything with more corruption or whatever. If anybody of our founding fathers and everything knew of the kind of shit that we're sitting in right now, they'd be like, "So y'all gonna do something? Are y'all gonna do something now?"
You shitting me?
Yeah, I was like, so they probably say, fuck it, redcoats can have this shit. I mean, that this is not what they built. This is not what it was designed for. And
they built this. They built this with mechanisms in place to prevent this kind of shit from happening. But they have just completely managed to get around all of it and to the capitulation of our people, because everyone's been so fucking brainwashed with all these ideas of racism, sexism, transphobia now is the big fucking key thing, and everything else with this ridiculous. It's been a social engineering project that has got us to this place. Through the fucking awful education system and then the mind brainwashing of our children. It's largely what it is, because it started with the millennial generation, which unfortunately I am first year of the millennial generation, which still makes me want to punch myself in the face because I'm supposed to be Generation Y, as in why am I fucking a millennial? But our generation, we're the ones that got the participation trophies, that grew up being given all the electronics and then started to live on the internet. But now it's even gotten worse with Generation Z that's being grown up by the fucked up millennials. Now we're in just a beyond fucked up place with a brainwashed society, with the millennials being the ones who take over, with an AOC. AOC has the power now as a brainwashed idiot fucking millennial.
Well, it's like a lot of things right now. It just blows my mind is that I think everybody is afraid to make that leap. They're afraid to be like you. I'll say it here now. People's like, oh, Civil War, blah blah, and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of like pulling the bandage off. Do you want somebody to sit there and get that real sticky Band-Aid and just pull at it for several hours, pulling them hairs off your leg, and it just hurts and hurts and hurts? Or would you rather somebody just come by and just rip that motherfucker off and everything? So you'd be, ow, that hurts like shit, and everything, it goes away. I don't take war lightly. We've both been there and done that and all that bag of potato chips. But the thing is, though, is that the problem is that a lot of wars in modern times are fought over, our establishment and everything having some kind of play into it and everything that happened in the Middle East or whatever. So we had a bunch of Saudi Arabians getting on a bunch of planes and ramming to the towers. I don't know. Let's invade Iraq. And it's like, I said, and I was like, well, you know what? There's some weapons of mass destruction. How we know? I don't know. I talked to some guy down at 7-Eleven and said he might have heard something. No, it's like, so we go in Afghanistan. It just blows my mind. It makes no fucking sense. And so many our lives are lost, and so many people have been put into this. And the thing kills me, and same thing with Vietnam too. Lyndon B. Johnson had a bunch of stock in General. I think it was General Dynamics. I forget who built the Huey. I'm not a helicopter guy. I'm a jet guy. But anyway, everybody had something to do with this.
Bell?
Someone has
Bell aircraft?
Bell, yeah, Bell.
Yeah, Bell.
Right?
So everybody had some dog in the fight now into why they got to have this war. But at no point, no one, when they said you're fighting for freedom, who is free? Who in Vietnam is free? Who in Afghanistan and Iraq is free? No one. Yeah. So the whole thing with. Sorry, I'm on rant. But the whole thing is that the whole thing is that we fight wars for rich men sitting in government and everything that have a reason, have some sort of monetary reason or political reason to have a war. Yeah. We're throwing billions of dollars now into Ukraine right now, where we as a people have no interest in. It does not. We're not fighting for our freedom, or we're spreading our democracy. Both the Russian government and the Ukraine government are corrupt as fuck. And if anything, the Ukraine and everything probably has more dirt on the bottom and everything than the FBI probably would be willing to give up. Now, the thing is that with all this combined or whatever, I was like, our general population are completely fine for sending people to war for throughout history and everything for those elites. But at no point in time are they able to sit there and say, well, me going to fight against my government now because they're overtaxing me and taking away my freedoms, trying to take away my guns, trying to trans my kids, all this kind of stuff. No, that's a step too far. You got to be shitting me. And I found them fathers now would be completely disgusted with us. And that goes with not just obviously, your leftists, but also for our own conservatives as well. And this is me coming. I guess where my libertarian side shows.
Man, well, I tell you personally, I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop. People might look at me a little. People might look at me a little sideways, but I'm ready. I'm ready to step out that door and, like starting to let the lead fly.
Just be careful. Careful what you're saying.
No, I think.
I want to stress again. Of course, we're talking about if something goes sideways. We're not endorsing. We're not saying anything should. We're not saying anybody should commit violence. What again? I'll say it again, just like with the Gadsden flag. Don't step on me. I will be a fucking snake in the grass. I will leave you alone until you step in my neck, and then I will bite you. That is the point.
And see, the thing, I think the biggest thing is that I don't think it's. I think you're going to have a losing fight when it comes strictly to like what Shellback is saying. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think it's just going to be a joint, willful, like agreement to a whole bunch of people in a general area to sit there and say, we're just not going to pay our taxes. And that sounds very, very simple. But here's the thing: is that everything is around money. The federal government and everything they need our participation. It's just going to become a point and everything where the biggest fight is just getting everybody to just not participate in it anymore.
Well, but of course that's we talked about this when Ryan Kimmel was on Saturday. This is the conspiracy side coming out. But the point that I made on there, and when it comes to why they're tearing down the morals of our military right now, why they want to get true patriots out by labeling anyone who is actually a true patriot, anyone who supports Trump as being a right-wing extremist, and they try to kick them out of the military. Why they're promoting and trying to recruit these leftists, putting out advertisements that say, I joined the army because I have 2 moms, and all this other stupid bullshit, is because they want a loyal military that will just simply shoot first and never ask questions, that will have no problems wanting to confiscate people's guns because they're far left extremists, just like that female staff sergeant who we saw, that drill sergeant who said you shouldn't have guns anyways, and you're somebody who raised your hand and took an oath to the fucking Constitution, which involves protecting people's rights to bear arms. But on top of that, that's why they're getting whatever the 8,000 new fucking IRS agents. Rasser, you're talking about people should just, civil disobedience, stop paying taxes. Well, guess what? They're growing a fucking army to stop that. So
let them be the first one to make.
Yeah, but that's my point, is that they very well could do that. They very well could establish their army and start. I'm trying to think of what the names of some of those movements were in the Nazi era and everything, when they just went ahead and just said, fuck it, all right, we're going in, we're gonna, anyone who's on this list, we're gonna arrest them, we're gonna start executing people. Like, it could happen. Like, they can have their army built up with their IRS agents, their new police force, and their militarized police force full of a bunch of fucking loyal leftists who still can't shoot or fight for shit, but still they can initiate that, man.
Well, that's kind of like the whole thing is that the person, the guilty party is going to be the first one to pull the first shot, and it's still based on the eye of the perceiver, or the media is going to cover up. That's the problem, is that the media is still weaponized against us, so they can still. Well, people don't trust the media against us. Well, people don't trust that machine anymore anyway. It's to be quite honest.
Still, about half the country that does.
But the thing is, though, is at that point, and then if it's got to that point, I don't think that it doesn't matter what the media can say, whatever it wants to. They can sit there and paint it to whatever they want to. It doesn't matter at that point, because they're on the losing side of that. Because the thing is, you can sit there and say a passive people. What was that ranch or whatever that did this? It was some ranch. I forgot what those boys were called. And
I know exactly what you're talking about. The oh god, I think it was in Idaho. No, not Idaho. But regardless, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, they held out because of the cattle issue. And then later on, the group who was involved with that ended up taking over a wildlife reserve headquarters, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there's a massive it was.
And see,
people died.
But that was a tiny group. That was a tiny group compared to what it could be. Yeah. If you had a general area and everything where you sit there and said, you know what, we can't afford to pay the taxes anymore. And I mean, I want to tell you right now, I don't know how any like conservative or even libertarian or even your even a left leaning person that has like, a very passive anti-war stance, old liberals, how in the world can they sit there and say, feel good about having like so much of their taxpayer dollars going to the Ukraine, and sit there and say, well, we got people and everything in the streets and everything that right now that's in tent cities and stuff like that. We're waving immigrants across into our country and everything under the guise of being refugees. Refugees from what? No, you just don't like your country, and there's more money here.
I gotta highlight this real quick, Kizzy. I love you, but I have to disagree with you. The issue is that they wrote the Constitution. The Constitution is one of the best documents ever written. The problem is that the current people are the ones who are tearing up the Constitution and aren't abiding by it, and our little milquetoast piece of shit, worthless fucking Republicans aren't doing anything to fight for it either. That's the problem. If it's the same argument, like people who say that they need to push more gun laws to stop shootings, when the vast majority of these mass shootings show that the laws on the books would have already prevented it from happening. Or no, admonish me that the proposals that they're proposing, like the gun checks or background checks or any of these other kind of stuff, would not have prevented it from happening because of the way this person proceeded in getting the gun anyways.
I think I get what Kizzy's saying. I don't think she's saying that the Constitution is bad. I think she just didn't expect knowing that the general obvious common sense points would drop 10 points now with every generation going forward, right. Especially in the last 3 decades. But I agree with what she's saying. As like, imagine writing, if you sit there and say, okay, right to bear arms and militia and everything, and it says no, spell it out like they eat crayons. And I was like, I mean,
that's a good point. No, you are absolutely right. That is a great fucking point.
Yeah, I would be like, we're writing. Yeah, we're writing this as if we're not going to have some person that was a bartender that was going to be a representative. No, you need to actually write that sucker down where each one of the amendments now is over a page long, so they don't have any gaps or misunderstandings. And by the time Clarence Thomas gets up there and then reads that bitch off, and then he'd be like, "Did I stutter, bitch?" No, it's like it's like it's pretty close. I mean, when we read it, we're like, okay, I don't see where y'all find this gap in it. But the problem is that people don't have an agenda. We're going to way over around this now, and that's what alternatives are good for. But it's that
even Marines understand it's important. Leave the crayons out of this. So
yeah. It's y'all either eating crayons or getting somebody pregnant. That's all y'all know.
Here's the thing: like they have the
stuff. We're happy to have you lurking, Green here. Thank you. Go ahead.
They have it in the Constitution and all that stuff. Where we can exercise, this right and that right. But then when we do it, they freaking yell insurrection, 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 and send a dude to prison for 54 months for putting his damn feet on the fucking desk.
Here's the thing: is that when it comes to like anybody that calls out an insurrection is mentally retarded. And I'll say this, and I'll say that. Okay, think about this. Can you tell me with a straight face that the one of the last nations on earth that have pretty much has a Second Amendment, and there's more guns than per capita or whatever than any other country in the world, and you're going to sit there and tell me and everything with that going on and the side that had the problem, that the grievance to begin with is the more 2A friendly group managed to form a insurrection, if you will, without guns. That makes no fucking sense and everything. I was like, if there was an insurrection, you would hear it. I mean,
yeah.
But of course they tried to prop it up as being insurrection by claiming whatever the number is, more than 5 people died or whatever. No, motherfucker, 1 person died at the hand of a fucking Capitol Hill cop who did nothing but crawl through a window, an Air Force veteran. Everyone else did not die as a result because of the actions that were taken. There was natural causes, and the cop that died multiple days later from a fucking natural causes. He did not get hit by a fucking fire hydrant. None of that shit happened. It's all fucking lies. But the reason they're lying about it is that way they can prop it up to make it sound like it was an actual insurrection where there was so much violence that, you know, guns are shooting and all this shit. That's why I just keep on saying
worse than
five
Pearl
or
Harbor
six
and
people.
9/11.
Yeah. I mean, but that's again though, that unfortunately is the psyop, and that's what I was kind of getting at. I have a Marine friend here that I have to have these disagreements with him all the time because, sorry, green hair, you know, not all Marines are smart. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to get through to you guys sometimes. Get you to wrap your brains around some shit.
Show me a smart Marine. I'll show you some beachfront property in Kansas.
I know there are smart ones out there, but yeah, my friend, he's a good guy, but it's really hard to get through to him. So trying to explain to him, you know, like he can't wrap his head around how some of these things happen. And so I don't know why I went on that whole rant, but here's something that I'm trying to explain, at least, that I need you, Raster, to at least try to wrap your head. And I know you understand the concept. Never underestimate your enemy. And the enemy right now is this collective of the incestuous leftist government that also works with some people on the right, along with the media and everything else. They have plans in place. I can guarantee you they have, you know, talking about PSYOP, they have a PSYOP plan in place. I guarantee it, ready to activate, ready to take action as soon as something happens. You know, as soon as they start trying to gather guns, or as soon as those IRS agents start using the IRS as a political arm and start attacking conservatives, there is going to be a PSYOP plan in place used by their psychological operations machine, which is the left-wing media, which is like 90% of all the fucking media. They are going to have a plan in place to make sure that their minions believe a certain narrative. And it's going to be that anyone like us, anyone who disagrees with it, is going to be labeled exactly like we are now, some sort of fascist, far right wing extremist, white supremacist, all that fucking bullshit. You can't underestimate them. Are there many dumbasses in there like AOC? Yes, there are, but you can't underestimate the ones in charge who are smart as fuck, but evil as shit.
Oh, I do not underestimate them one bit. I think it's come to a point now where conservatives and libertarians are going to have to come together and agree that we just don't care what you think anymore. It's like it's the thing. Yeah. It's like we always find the most recent reminder of this. Now, I think it was like I was watching Piers Morgan. I know it's in a different, you know, this is, you know, in teacup land, but I mean, he was talking to that Mizzy guy, the little black kid that was just going to people's houses. I'm not sure if you've seen those videos anywhere. He's making these TikToks where if someone leaves open the front door, he'll just walk into their house and everything and dance around and act like he owns the place. Okay, and then Piers Morgan and everything, you know, he says, do you think you think the reason why you do this is because of your upbringing? No, probably hinting at probably because he doesn't have a dad. And he said that's racist or whatever, blah blah. And immediately he goes on the defensive, and I'm like, no, are you? Instead of going on the defensive, the proper thing to do is turn around and sit there and say, "Are you saying that this is part of your culture to do this or whatever? Why did you bring race into this?" But no, he instantly goes on the defensive and says, the whole typical, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I have black friends. I mean, that is the old thing or whatever, where, you know, conservatives always fall in that trap. Eventually you sit there and say, okay, sure. And that's why they've been escalating the whole thing with not saying racist anymore. They say white supremacy because racist has already been, you know, overused already. Yeah. And I mean, I think that at a certain point in everything that we need to get off. Everything is racist. I mean, we need to get off the defensive and just start be on the offensive. And I think that the most like, okay, thing with the Bud Light campaigns and the Target boycott campaigns right now is that's an offensive, not a defensive. And they sit there and say it's transphobic or whatever. And the best take is that they don't even answer it. They don't even give it legitimacy. They just say it's just it's degenerate. So guess what? You can go fuck yourself. I mean, that's the best response. And I mean, it's kind of like when sometimes I said about bringing up guns, you know, I sit there talking about, well, think of the kids. I said, well, last time I checked and everything, that all these mass shooting goes in the gun-free zone. Guess where you can't defend yourself in a gun-free zone. You don't sit there and say, well, I still love my kids and blah blah. I know I love my kids. I don't need to tell other motherfuckers I love my kids. This is a mindset this is a change of mindset that I think that the conservatives need to get over. And I think that the whole thing with the media and stuff like that, the media is going to be doing the media shit. They're going to sit there and spin everything around. I mean, you can have a Mexican dude and everything get shot up at a mall or whatever, and they'll call him a white supremacist. They had a U-Haul that tried to run a fence or whatever with an Indian dude driving it, and then somehow and everything, it's kind of like Dave Chappelle and everything saying, it says, I don't know, Johnson, sprinkle some crack on them, let's get out of here and everything. They just throw a Nazi flag out there by the U-Haul, like I'm supposed to believe that shit. It still had the wrinkles in it from when it was still in the bag. I mean, give me a fucking break. I mean, are y'all even trying anymore? Yeah, I was like, I'm not buying it anymore. And if anybody is actually buying this or whatever, guess what? I look at you like the way people used to look at conspiracy theorists. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. You don't believe? Yeah, you're buying this. You're the crazy one now, motherfucker. When you're telling that story, I couldn't help but picture you talking about. I love my kids, motherfucker. I'm picturing you like when you tucking your kids in at night. You're like Han Solo. I love you, Daddy. I know, motherfucker. Now go to sleep.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I figured that's exactly how it goes.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, now Raster's telling bedtime stories like Major Payne style, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that closet still has holes in it.
Yeah.
All right,
if he's still in there, he ain't happy.
Real quick, I gotta do this because it is an obligation. I'm supposed to shill for my channel. I'm supposed to promote shit. I didn't fucking do it earlier. We do have. I'm not gonna make it this announcement anymore after this week, but we do have other levels now. We've always had the Tropic Thunder membership at $4.99, but adding on now, we have Simple Jack at the entry level of $1.99, and if you go for $9.99, the highest level, you went full retard. Is the membership level there? Whereas a full retard member, 2 consecutive months, you will get a free Vets Talkin shirt eventually when they get made, which will be soon. It will be soon. We're going to do that very soon. And I did want to give a quick shout out to some of our members here. Remember, everyone here starts off as corporal. We have no cherry privates. You immediately get promoted corporal when you join here. So we have all of our wonderful corporals here, of which we have some in the chat right now. And then after that, we have our sergeants. And beyond that, we have our staff sergeants. I just want to give some love to all of them because we do love our members, every single one of them, including some of the Simple Jacks that we have as members now. And even though I wasn't going to do this, we're gonna close this YouTube section out here in a little bit, and we're gonna move on to Rumble, where we can talk uncensored. I will once again drop that link in here. Anybody wants to hop over there. And I wasn't going to do this, but since I couldn't do the ghost pepper chip challenge, I will say this: fuck it, I'll go for a shot. If somebody wants to drop $20 or more super chat, then I'll go ahead and take a fucking shot if anybody wants to do that. It's technically the weekend here. I think I said earlier that fucking Lake of the Ozarks just exploded. It's tourist season officially now. The fucking highway was completely fucking jam-packed. So yeah, I'm starting my weekend early. Do you guys have any last comments on that subject, or do you want to move on to the next one here real quick before we switch over to Rumble?
I kind of want to address Kizzy there, since there's our new person here. It says, yeah, why do Indians and Hispanics believe the white race should be superior? And I know that's a rhetorical question, but I kind of want to. That kind of made me think of something. Back when I was in law enforcement, I guess what everybody now was a law enforcement and everything. And then I, that lost my faith in the justice system after 10 years. Right. But going to that is that one thing I'm very, very knowledgeable about because I was a detective for a while, is that we have a system in place now that different agencies use different ones or whatever, but Hispanic and if you're talking about like actual, like, Indians or Native Americans, whatever, but I can speak on the Hispanics. Hispanics is actually what they consider ethnicity. And I can tell you right now that when we did a monthly audit for, like, because I worked for a sheriff's office. So we actually weren't, if you're not very familiar, the sheriff's office are actually involved in actually maintaining the jail. And part of the booking procedure is taking what they call an arrest sheet, which is the same documentation that they make reportable to the FBI. And when we actually go through the books or whatever, and we have all the demographic information, we take a head count of everybody and yada, yada, yada. During this time, you'll find discrepancies. And sometimes the discrepancies might be gone months unnoticed. It just takes the right set of eyes to figure it out because we have so many people. And oftentimes Hispanic people are counted as white because they are white. Their race is white. Their ethnicity is Hispanic. And the way that the booking procedure goes is that you actually have a thing where you put down white, black, or Asian. And I think Native American might be on the updated one or whatever, I think, but I'm not sure. Can't remember off the top of my head, but there's
an
actually
indigenous person.
Yeah, whatever they call it now. But but in a different section further down, it says Hispanic or non-Hispanic. Is a separate question, and that's the only question that it asks. So that question when they're doing
that being on the census.
Yeah, it's done the same way about everywhere. Even on medical forms, it's done the exact same way.
Oh.
And the thing is that a lot of times that is an oversight when somebody might mistakenly like leave it blank, or they might actually strike it through wrong or whatever. And it's not given the same type of like importance as you would as putting down the race, because it's just ethnicity or whatever, just like Italian or anything else like that. So when that stuff gets reported to the FBI, the numbers that you see that they do the FBI statistics, the funny thing is the FBI doesn't want you to look up and see whatever, but it's reportable because all the law enforcement agencies put into it. So when they kick out like like gun violence and all that kind of stuff, murders and white on white crime, black on white crime, and all that kind of stuff, it's actually not as bad for the white on white, white on black, and all that stuff as it is, because you got to, in the back of my mind, having the knowledge, knowing that a big percentage of those are actually Hispanic. They're just not reported as Hispanic by error. So that's food for thought to think about that for a second.
I got two things on this stuff. Okay, when an old white guy is telling us that white supremacy is the biggest problem we got, okay, like sirens in your head should be going off. Okay, it's like, talk about a damn psyop. And as far as the whole race thing goes, it's bullshit, because we're all human. We're not a separate race from anybody. We're all
a human race.
All the differences between us is that ethnicity. Okay, it's not. It's not. Black people aren't a different race. Freaking brown people aren't a different race. We're the same race. It's just, it's all, race and racism is just another one of those freaking bullshit constructs that they've come up with to separate us or whatever.
Yeah, to divide and conquer.
Yeah, if you have to get right, break it right down to it, then in reality is that anthropologically speaking, there are 3 races, but there are only 3 races, and everything since the beginning of time has been, each one of them has been like diluted, if you will, or whatever. So it's not, no one's 100% anymore anyway, and that's perfectly fine. But anthropologically speaking, that can be determined by the shape of a person's skull and skeletal structure. You have 3. It's called Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid. Huh?
You said cock.
Caucasoid is basically, you can probably figure that means Caucasian.
Yes.
And then and then Mongoloid is basically, and that sounds, everybody's like, you Mongoloid? No, Mongoloid is actually a real thing. It's actually anybody like you with the facial structure. That's why Native Americans, like true Native Americans, along with Asians and everything, because they passed the Berlin Strait and ancestrally, have the high cheekbones and stuff like that. That stuff now, then that's present, and from that biology, and everything else in between, like your Middle Eastern and all that kind of stuff, and then it's just a mixture of all of them anyway. And honestly, again, people that get stuck and people that get stuck on race or whatever for whatever reason or whatever, I think is ignorant, and that is true racism. Whether you sitting there worried about, like, I do believe they have black supremacy. You had your Black Panthers and stuff like that and everything. People that the first thing that they identify as is their race. I don't sit there and say, I Josh white guy, or I John white guy, or I Zach white guy, or me Jerome black guy, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It's that's how they introduce themselves or whatever. And that tells me now that you put importance on that for some reason and everything. I don't do that. I'll sit there and say everything. Like, hey, I'm Raster. I'm a designer. I was a veteran. I did this. Now, that's the stuff that defines me, and that's the kind of crap and everything that I think that's really holding us back as a civilization or whatever. Is that we get so stuck on this stuff, and we're trying to use that as a scapegoat for many things. So,
yeah, I want to give a shout out real quick. I see Tracy K said she jumped over to Rumble. Anybody else I've got the link out there. If anybody else wants to jump over to Rumble, that's where we're going to head here in a minute so we can talk true freedom. It's messed up. I had to reload the fucking thing to see the chat pop up. Real quick before we do that, I was going to head to another topic, but damn, I mean, this is a good conversation. We fucking went on for an hour and 47 minutes just in this conversation alone. So we'll save the other topics for next week. Guys, if you're enjoying this, I mean, I know especially the Hangover gang, you guys have not been so much really interested in our Skinamax Saturday, which is our more entertaining, just like drinking, shooting the shit with a bunch of veterans and our friends. I can tend to sometimes get blackout drunk. Did last 2 weeks ago. Thanks to all the amazing super chats. But yeah, if you guys are here, and I know you guys are you love the super politically charged stuff, but we do get really big onto the anti-woke stuff on pop culture. That's the main focus for Skinamax Saturday, is getting really ranting about the pop culture anti-woke, getting into the anti-woke shit on that. So please do check that out. We do that every single Saturday, Skinamax Saturday here in Bet's Talkin. Drop the Gene. You'll find me at 10 o'clock Eastern. This Saturday, we're going to have on Frank Zanka, who is the author of this amazing comic book right here, Destiny Aurora. I met him in Vegas during the Friday Night Tights meetup. He gave me this, which is not only issue 1, but issue 2 as well. It's an amazing piece of art. I still haven't even read it yet, but I love the art on this. I can't remember exactly what he said it was a full mix-up. Definitely, it's like, I think he says like a mix of Star Trek and Star Wars along with something else. But the artwork is fucking cool, dude. I'm not much of a comic book guy, but I am really looking forward to getting into this. So come check that out. He worked with Nichelle Nichols, the original Uhura, on her very last project. He was a producer on the last project that she worked on, which was a Star Trek. They call it a fan film, but really people argue it's not really a fan film. It just wasn't made by a big production office. But yeah, come on, check that out. I think we are going to go ahead and jump over to Rumble. I saw somebody else just jump in. I'm going to drop this one more time. Green Hair says there's HOG here too, like Tom McDonald. HOG, I'm such a noob. Yeah, Green Hair. That is how my channel blew up, actually, is that we started doing reaction videos to Tom McDonald. And my top video now, so it's like 62,000 views now. And I got monetized in absolutely no time whatsoever because of our review videos, which you can find in Vets Talkin Tunes, the playlist. It's called Vets Talkin Tunes. Yeah, so the vast majority of my audience and 4.2 thousand people are HOG fans. They're Tom McDonald Hangover Gang. So yeah, that's awesome that you're a fan too.
Yeah, I didn't know that's what she's talking about. I thought she was asking about our hogs for a minute.
Yeah.
They're all right until you get in the garden, then you got to shoot them.
I was gonna make a trans joke there for a second, but I'm not gonna do that. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll flip over to Rumble here so we can talk uncensored. I'm gonna drop the link here one more time if anybody else is here, hasn't seen the link yet. There's the link. Hop over to Vets Talk and drop the G and you'll find me. We'll click the link right there. So Papa Susan, don't slap us in the pee-pee and hurt this channel. We're going to talk on Rumble instead. You guys got anything else you want to say to our YouTube audience?
Hi.
What was it Fetterman said? Hello. Good night.
Yeah.
And with that, good night, everybody.